He also wants to turn the clock back more generally, which brings us to his third assault on the liberal consensus, social policy. The Trump era will be marked by potentially violent conflict over cultural issues that lawmakers have failed for decades to resolve through compromise. Immigration is a stark example. The administration's decision to separate families of migrants, many who are refugees seeking asylum, illegally crossing the border, has triggered a profound moral backlash that has led to protests, mass arrests, and the occupation of immigration and customs enforcement facilities. Trump's supporters see fighting illegal immigration as a matter of enforcing the law. Growing numbers of those on the left regard it as an incremental step toward fascism. Conservatives say to liberals, "You never complained when Barack Obama did this sort of thing," but liberals can point out that Trump has applied policy in such an aggressive way that it tips this whole debate into a war over foundational values. And if you think that's bad, just wait until Donald Trump announces his Supreme Court nominee. The president is going to nominate a conservative who will presumably tilt the court against Roe v. Wade. The New York Times alleges that the Trump administration waged a quiet campaign to encourage Justice Anthony Kennedy to retire. It is widely reported that conservative groups, such as the Federalist Society, have been instrumental in deciding the list of replacements. And we know that Trump has remained loyal to those religious voters who backed him in spite of his dubious moral past. Here then is perhaps the most dramatic way in which Trump could change America, not just for the few years that he is president but for an entire generation, moving the energies of the judicial branch, not only through the Supreme Court but countless federal appointments, toward a more conservative interpretation of the law. My suspicion is that a future Trump-shaped Supreme Court will be more concerned with protecting religious freedom of expression than rolling back the legislation and judgments of the past 30 years. But the left reasonably will conclude it cannot take that risk, which may turn the nomination process into an almighty battle fought not just in the Senate but in the streets. Every president's first midterm contest is about the president. It's a referendum on how they're doing, a chance for the opposition to mobilize and throw congressional roadblocks in front of the executive's agenda. Few midterms, however, will be quite as angry or polarized as the upcoming one, and not because 2018 represents a vote in the context of Trump's failure. Because it's a vote at a moment of his success. Trump continues his streak of surprises. First, he won the election, then he proved far better at manipulating the media, setting the issue agenda and exerting executive authority than might have been expected. He has slowly colonized the Republican Party, achieving a growing uniformity of opinion. The fact that all of this winning is not reflecting in his opinion polls, which still put his job approval below 50%, only demonstrates that for Trump to triumph in his own particular way, he has to alienate a lot of people on the other side of the argument, to divide the country in two and trust that there are enough of his people in the right number of congressional districts, or electoral votes-rich states, to keep him in authority. Trump is not the president for all Americans, but he is finally redefining the country along lines approved of by those Americans who lent him their votes in 2016.